Emperor, we come for you! We come for you!
Did IQs just drop sharply while I was away?
Long live the fighters!
Fuddling with everything. I like the music, man. Hey everybody, we're welcome back to another episode of the Fusion Underground. We're here with a new DLC. That's right. Downloadable content, some extra stuff that we have brewing in the wind that we're releasing for everybody. This is in addition to our normal weekly podcast events on Tuesdays. So we're going to be releasing this before episode 8, which we're going to be recording later this week to release on Tuesday, June 30th. So we're actually recording before that. Actually, we're recording on the 25th, June 25th for our third DLC. I'm your host, Manuel Ramirez. And as always, I'm joined in our virtual studio with my good buddy and brother, Jason Moret. How are you doing, sir?
Good, brother. How are you?
I'm doing well.
Good.
I'm doing well. So here at the Fusion Underground, we try to make sense of the world by having principled discussions about such topics as entertainment, current events, politics, and culture. Our mission is to educate people to become critical thinkers so they can live more empowered and happier lives. So hopefully you're catching all this stuff. So when we do the DLC, we just kind of this is a little bit of a different format. It's kind of more of a freestyle format. We just kind of talk about anything and everything. We don't go into it with a very specific topic like we do with our other weekly episodes. So this one, we just realized that we have extra stuff that we want to talk about, that we want to share with our listeners and with our viewers, get it out there, do something fun. Plus, we actually really have a good time doing the show.
Yeah.
I have a blast doing it.
It's kind of like behind the scenes where Lucy and I would normally just have this conversation on the phone and get each other all riled up. We're like, you know what? We need to just do this over Zoom and record it. And it'll be little expansion packs. This is
like F that. Let's do it. Let's record it because, of course, we think so highly of ourselves that we think anybody else should listen right along with us. And I love the guns you got going on there, man. You got the guns out.
Wearing my old one of my training shirts. I used to
with your little 22s
underneath my gi. Yeah. My 22s, you jerk.
So last week we talked about free speech.
That was a good one. We had a good time discussing that. I think we probably could have done that for about 5 episodes. Probably.
Oh yeah, there's a lot. There's a lot we left on the table.
Oh gosh, yeah.
There's a lot we left on the table, but there's some other stuff that has come up that I thought kind of fits in with the whole concept of free speech. So just to kind of give everybody a rundown of some of the stuff that we're going to try to get to tonight. We have a streamer who, I guess somebody like on Twitch or whatever, they stream, they play games or whatever. They do stuff on their computer and they stream it live onto the internet, called a streamer. You're looking at me like, what the hell is a streamer?
Yeah, I'm like all I could think of is a birthday
not
party.
Not a streaker.
No, not that kind. That's a streaker. I'm talking about, the ribbons that you hang.
Oh, right.
Jeez Louise, X-rated.
So we've got a streamer that had the audacity to say people should be innocent until proven guilty. I know, that's an amazing thing. People got he said that and social media exploded on him in a negative way. We also have leftists who are freaking out about a new app called Parler for free speech. So we'll talk a little bit about that. We also have a story here about Cards Against Humanity. Could you imagine? Do you know anything about Cards Against Humanity?
Yeah.
Okay.
That's the basically a game trying to trigger everybody to come up with really obnoxious and foul
and
stuff.
terrible things,
and who can embarrass each other the worst. It's really terrible to try and play with your kid's sister and your mom.
Yeah.
It's very awkward when that happens. Yeah.
Yeah. Something I would never play with my kid sisters, nor my mother. Cards. So we got a story about Cards Against Humanity, and we have another one. My favorite. I think this one is my favorite out of the topics that I found so far. My Little Pony and Nazis. Yes.
In that order?
Well, in conjunction. In other words, the My Little Pony fan group, I don't even know what to call them. The My Little Pony fan base has realized that they have a Nazi problem.
Oh my God.
In other words, there are Nazis inside the My Little Pony fan base. Yeah, I don't know what to think about that.
Wait. There's actually a Nazi party in the fan base, not in the ponies.
We'll unpack it when we get there.
Or do we?
We'll get there. We'll get there. Oh, and another one that I want to talk about. This one is absolutely amazing. I want to spend a little bit of time. You enjoy video games like I do. I don't know if you're probably playing as many of them as I am.
No, I doubt that very highly. Yeah, go ahead.
I don't play that many, but there is one video game that I'm really looking forward to. It got delayed until November. I think it was supposed to come out in September. It got delayed until November. But the game is Cyberpunk 2077.
Okay. Yeah.
There's a little bit about Cyberpunk 2077 that I want to talk about. Has to do with character customization. Yeah, what?
I remembered something, actually.
Oh,
we were talking about free speech and banning this and banning that and all that kind of stuff. You used to play Magic way back when, the card game, right? Magic the Gathering?
Oh, yeah, I had a lot of Magic cards.
Yeah. Did you know that they're actually banning cards?
I heard that they were banning cards.
Wizards of the Coast, they're banning cards. Cleanse, which was a white card that causes all black creatures in play to be destroyed.
Yeah, I'm surprised they haven't just banned the colors of black and white, or at least banned white.
Right.
I'm surprised they haven't at least banned colored white. So
well, but even there's other ones that are actually talking about where obviously black creatures, because it's evil, it's black magic. Mm-hmm. So you're talking about demons,
the undead,
all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, necromancy and all that.
That in and of itself is just absolutely terrible. How dare we attribute black to anything but black people, and therefore so anything bad. And if you say black, it's just like, you guys, this is what we're talking about.
Right.
We start censoring ourselves where we can't even describe colors anymore because it might be a trigger word for somebody else. Where does this end? It doesn't stop.
Well, so Wizards of the Coast produces that Magic the Gathering card game, and they also produced Dungeons and Dragons, and they came out and said they're doing away with evil races. So things like orcs and drow are not going to be classified as evil races. And I'm like, they're not humans.
Yeah, I'm like,
what difference does it matter?
Orcs and fictional. Stop it! What the heck is wrong with you people?
Now I can understand if they were. So the reason why I have kind of a problem with this is because it reeks of pandering. It just reeks of pandering, given the state of politics today. And if there was some kind, let's say they were coming out with a 6th edition Dungeons and Dragons rule set, and they were changing the rules. They were changing maybe the framework of the rules like they did when they released 4th edition. Gosh, I think there's a lot of people going, what? How does he know all this? Anyway, go with me. If they were coming out with a 6th edition rule set and they were tweaking the rules, and in tweaking the rules, they were getting rid of alignments and that sort of thing, and they were introducing some other kind of framework into the rule set. And so they were saying, well, we're getting rid of the alignments and evil and good and all that out of the, for races, and we're adding in this other mechanic, I'd be okay with it.
Well, sure. It's a game mechanic you're changing, not doing it in spite. It's very knee-jerk reaction, and the question, for what?
Yeah.
What are you hoping to gain out of that? I mean, really.
Right. Well, and it's like this thing, right? There's an article here that I have titled, this is on Deadspin, written by a gentleman by the name of Rob Parker, who happens to be black. At least that's the picture next to his name, is black man. So my assumption is that the picture goes with the guy, with the writer. His name's Rob Parker. He wrote this article called "We've Lived with the Masters Name Long Enough." For those of you who don't know, the Masters is a golf tournament held in Georgia every year. He goes through the beginning of the article. He talks about, how we're tearing down statues of Confederate officers. We're banning the Confederate flag from NASCAR. And then he says the name the Masters must go. The heralded golf tournament, one of the 4 majors, needs to go back to its original name, the Augusta National Invitational. It became the Masters in 1939. Let's see. He goes on, blah, blah, blah. What's interesting is he says this, and be honest. I'm quoting, and be honest. When you hear anyone say the Masters, you think of slave masters in the South. Is that really the case? Because when I hear of the Masters in conjunction with golf and that tournament, I'm thinking we're talking about masters of people who are masters of playing the game of golf. I don't immediately think of slave masters.
Yeah, and I'll be honest, just because I like playing golf. It's fun, but I usually like it because I can drink beer, drive a cart, and chase a little white ball all over the field all day. That just screams my kind of game. If you actually care about it, then you're probably in the wrong cart because you're not with me.
Right.
But no, when I hear the term the Masters, I started thinking about, well, like master's degrees or master of your own destiny, I guess.
I have a master's degree. Am I supposed to give up the term master's degree?
Yeah, you because I guess anybody said if you had a master's degree, then that means you've been educated in how to whip slaves. Are you freaking kidding me? Come on.
This is the kind of ridiculous. No. See, keep in mind, we're changing all of these names, right? We're ripping down, well, we aren't, but there are, radicals who are out there ripping down, statues that they claim have ties to slavery. And some other people have gone overboard. I think they're really the people who are trying to poke the bear. Right. And so they're digging through and coming up with all these other things that we need to get rid of. Then if we're going to do all of this in the name of slavery, well, then let's rename Yale University. Right. Because the original guy, Elihu Yale, I think is his name.
Mm-hmm.
Whom the university is named after. He was a big, gigantic slave trader.
Yeah.
He was a big time slave trader and was essentially, he was a distributor of slaves here in the United States. So if we're going to rip down these statues, then we should probably rename Yale, right? I mean, after all, that makes sense, doesn't it?
Look, I don't know that I really want to get into a whole slavery discussion, but I mean, okay, so let's be honest and really talk about it. Fine. That there was a vast majority, actually, a majority of slave owners in the South before the Civil War were actually black.
Right. A lot of people don't realize that.
And I mean the majority by number of owners. Now, keep in mind, there were many plantations where you have one white person who owned more slaves by volume. However, I mean, really, there were Native Americans who had their own Native American slaves who accompanied them on the Trail of Tears, for crying out loud. Slavery is not a white-only issue. Matter of fact, the very first legal battle over a slave where the court decided that a slave was a slave for life. Indentured servitude meant for life. That was the idea. That was a black slave owner fighting for his black slave. So do not tell me that is a white person issue. It's not.
Sure. Absolutely. Anthony Johnson is his name.
Yeah. Anthony
Johnson was a black man who owned a black slave. Where in the court case that you're referring to. So yeah, that was, and that's basically what established that case in and of itself was the case that really established slavery as a thing here in the United States. I mean, yes, it was happening, but it wasn't until that court case where it really became mainstream in terms of legal issues and all of that kind of stuff. Yeah, crazy stuff. So let's,
okay.
So let's talk about a little bit of some of this other stuff. So we've got, the streamer here, Backlash, innocent until proven guilty. So apparently, I don't know if you've been following any of the crazy woke culture that travels in gaming circles.
I'm sorry. Did my look? No,
I guess that's a no.
I haven't been as up to date on that as others. Please elaborate on what's going on in the woke culture.
Okay, well, for the past several years, there has been this this I don't even know what to call it. I don't want to call it a culture. I don't want to call it it's stupidity is what it is. But basically what it amounts to is there are, you have these, the video game industry, much like the comic book industry, has completely been inundated with leftists. People who say they grew up, and a lot of these are young college kids, right? Fresh out of college. They've been going through their indoctrination ceremonies on college campuses, and they're ready to take on the world. And so they're going into these, into their first jobs in a corporate America. And that happens to be things like comic books and video games. And video game companies love to hire right out of college because they know that people who are our age, they're not going to be worked like that at our age, because we have families and things. And so they literally work these developers for, 60 hours a week. And
yeah, you've got young kids who are essentially have skills, have talent.
Right. They're very talented, right?
You can pay them nothing, work them to the max,
right?
And it's your first job. Suck it up, buttercup.
It's almost like a form of indentured servitude, indentured servitude. We won't get into that.
Slow it down. Take it easy.
Anyway, in these gaming circles, right, there's these, because there are so many people that are woke, we've got, there's these allegations of sexual harassment and that end up flying all around. And of course, they typically land on somebody who has come out, usually a male who has come out in favor of feminism and says, I'm a feminist, right? And they're all woke. And then it turns out a few months go by, and then women are accusing him of, the male feminist of, either sexual assault or sexual discrimination or sexual harassment, whatever. So this has been happening for a number of years within the video game space and in comic books, in the comic book industry. Well, apparently, this streamer, his name is Summit1G. Now, he did not commit any kind of sexual harassment. That's not what Summit1G did. I'm just going to call him Summit from now on. But Summit1G, he is facing backlash on social media, mainly Twitter, over a tweet appearing to criticize how accusations are handled online. Seems pretty straightforward.
We haven't heard anything like that before.
Oh, of course not.
Right.
So following, and he tweeted this out, following a slew of sexual assault and harassment allegations against well-known content creators and personalities in the gaming industry. So in other words, there are these other guys where they have been accused of sexual harassment, assault, whatever. And we've got Summit, and Summit has said, wait a minute. These guys that you're accusing of sexual harassment and everything, don't they deserve to be
they deserve their day
until
in
proven
court.
Guilty?
They deserve they deserve that yes, they're innocent until proven guilty, but you're talking about them being looked at in the court of public opinion, which is not the court of the land.
Right.
So by law, yes, we as Americans are afforded the understanding that we are innocent until proven guilty. However, in the court of public opinion, and especially when it comes to isms, whether that's racism, feminism, or any other ism out there, you are always guilty, and it is up to you as the accused to prove your innocence.
Absolutely right. And Summit tweeted out, innocent until proven guilty, unless it's the internet where we do things backwards. That's what he said. And that generated a crap storm against him.
I don't doubt it. He's not wrong.
No, he's not wrong. This other guy, Zach, who goes by Asmongold, he said it's possible to support and take someone who's making an allegation seriously while also not immediately canceling the person who it was made against. It's important to give people an opportunity to respond and defend themselves. Again, not wrong, right?
Yeah. So no, he's not necessarily wrong, but even in trying to appease and find a middle ground here, and I understand where Zach's coming from. Here's the biggest problem I see. You're already setting a precedent that this is up to the accused to defend themselves. No, that's not
how it works here.
The justice system works. It is up to the accuser to prove their case.
Absolutely.
That's why it's the prosecution's job in any court to prove the case. And the defense doesn't say a dang thing until it's time.
Well, that generated
Sorry.
backlash.
Of course. Mm-hmm.
Rod 4475 SR and Immortal Peak Breslau, I guess that's how you pronounce his last name. I don't know.
Okay.
He said, as one of the biggest streamers in all of gaming and on Twitch, if your first comment on social after a week of, about 100 women coming forward with stories of sexual assault, harassment, and misconduct is to say this, maybe it's better you say nothing at all. So in other words, he's criticizing what Summit 1G said and said, hey, maybe you just should have shut up, right? Instead of actually speaking your mind. Now, there's nothing inherently wrong with what Rod did. I don't think so, because at least remember when we played the clip last week from Joe Rogan?
Yeah.
When his bitch what comment,
Bitch
and
what?
if somebody says
Yeah.
something stupid, you have to be able to say this bitch what and just call them out on their BS.
Right.
Well, obviously Rod here thinks that Summit is spouting some BS. So he says his tweet is essentially saying bitch what. I don't have a problem necessarily with Rod saying that. It's totally fine to come out and challenge him on that, even though I believe Rod is completely in the wrong.
Correct. No, and I would absolutely say the same thing. You know what, Rod, you want to challenge me on my position? Okay. I'm good with that. Let's have a debate. Obviously you feel different. So let's talk about that. So that's, yeah, fine. But now what?
Right. And
Okay.
And Summit he actually went on to his stream and he said this. He said, it's hard to hold myself back sometimes. I'm only human, and I have opinions, and we're not all going to share opinions, Summit said on stream. No matter what you think, no matter what you say, no matter how righteous your cause may be, there will always be someone that disagrees. Fair enough.
Yep. We said the same thing last week.
Yeah. I am just simply stating that while people are making very, very clear that sexual assaults and things like it are happening at real life events, and that people are getting called out, he added, I just also want to make it very, very clear how dangerous it is to run someone's name through the mud like that if it's not 100% true. And I think what he means here is, well, you got to prove it.
Right. Well, and we talked about this some long time ago. Back when the same thing happened with Justice Kavanaugh's confirmation. Remember?
Oh yeah.
He was accused of that, and everybody in the Me Too movement jumped on board and just absolutely obliterated that man's name, almost ended his career, and I mean, just completely destroyed that guy. And yet, as it turns out, those allegations were not founded. So where's everybody going, oh, sorry, and oh, I didn't mean it, oh, I just got carried away? Or no, you ask a lot of people out there, they know who that guy is, probably more because they think he is a sex offender, not because he's a Supreme Court justice.
Yeah. And the article that I'm reading here, it doesn't have all of the backlash from what's happening on Twitter, but the guy is getting lit up. There are a lot of people who consider themselves to be woke, who are just jumping on him, basically calling for his stream to be shut down, trying to silence him because he had the audacity to say, you know what, people should be proven guilty first before we crucify them.
Yeah.
We should not crucify them first. Otherwise the damage is done. We need to, they deserve their just due.
Sure. And I think all of us would want that. Innocent until proven guilty is a fundamental backbone of the justice system in this country. Could you imagine what this country would look like if everybody just got thrown in jail and it was up to you to try and prove that you didn't do whatever it was they said you were doing just to be able to get out and go on with your life? Oh my God. Yeah.
Yeah. It'd just be, I don't think people truly understand what that would be like. And I think more people should, read things about the Soviet Union, 1917, the Bolshevik Revolution. They should read about Maoist China. They should read about what happened in Cuba, because in those situations, people were guilty for who they were, not for necessarily what they did. And that's exactly what we're talking about. We're talking about people that are guilty for who they are, just for being who they are, or for saying something without actually making them guilty for anything that they physically did to somebody else.
It's mob mentality, Lucy. I mean, you're talking about, you have to either agree with the mob, or you're guilty of wrong think. This is the biggest thing that just blows me away with the way people are sometimes. It just, what the heck is wrong think? How have we reached a point in our society where that's even a thing? What the heck does that even mean?
Well, it comes from
Wrong
1984.
think?
It comes from 1984.
Are you freaking insane?
Well, and that's what's happening. So right now we're seeing that on social platforms like Facebook and Twitter, especially Twitter. Well, Twitter has become known for silencing conservative voices, or silencing people who are on the right, just because of who they are, or just because they happen to express certain opinions on the platform, and they're getting, in some cases, they're getting banned. Milo Yiannopoulos is an example of a right thinker or personality, if you will, who got banned from Twitter. Right. He even got banned from Twitter for something he didn't even do. So he didn't even say what what people claim he said. He didn't even say that, but Twitter banned him because they just didn't like him. And didn't like at least the things that he talked about. So Twitter banned them. And so because of this, there have been people that have said, you know what, we're going to go out and we're going to create a platform that truly embraces the concept of free speech. And we don't care what people say on it. And that new application is called Parler. And yesterday, Parler, Parler. And yesterday, yesterday there was tens of thousands of people left Twitter, and they created accounts on Parler, because Parler has finally opened up. They finally launched. And so it was this mass exodus of people that have been shifting from Twitter over to Parler. And in fact, I'm doing it, my own personal Twitter account. I've created one on Parler, and I'm going to be slowly moving over to Parler.
Maybe we should move the FU brothers over to Parler.
Yeah, I'm definitely going to do that. And so the idea behind Parler is, Parler says, look, we don't care what you posted on here. We're not going to shut you down. We welcome anything and everything. Well, that really exploded on Twitter and on Facebook. And there were some people, there were some leftists who didn't really like that. For example, David Knowles over at Yahoo.
Yahoo still exists?
Yeah, Yahoo still exists. Okay, yeah, Yahoo still exists.
Sorry.
David Knowles, he wrote about this. He wrote, quote, "The list of trending hashtags at Parler on Monday morning made it clear that the site isn't exactly a wellspring of variety when it comes to political opinion. Hashtag MAGA, hashtag KG, hashtag Trump 2020 took their place beside hashtag Q, hashtag QAnon, and hashtag WWG1WGA, an abbreviation for the QAnon motto, where we go one, we go all. As advertised, Parler does not restrict or ban users for posts, no matter how offensive or absurd, such as one claiming that former First Lady Michelle Obama is actually a transvestite. Other threads mock Black Lives Matter protesters and decry the movement to remove Confederate monuments." Essentially what he's saying is, he's basically painting all of Parler as this cesspool
it's a haven for all of the worst part of our entire society.
And you know what? Let's say that's true. Let's say for the sake of argument, let's just say that's true.
Yeah, we're just going to swallow that whole and not.
Let's say for the sake of argument, that's okay. Well, why can't the platform like that exist?
At least if you really believe that, what's his name?
Knowles.
Mr. Knowles. If you really believe that, be happy, because now they're not cluttering up your Twitter space.
Right.
What the heck's the problem?
At least you got rid of them, and they're all over there being happy.
That's what you wanted to do,
right?
Was to get rid of them anyway. The fact of the matter is, what you want to happen is you want to completely silence them and keep them buried down in their closet, where they're not free to talk about anything by themselves, and they have nobody else to share their ideas with whatsoever. That is absolutely dangerous and irresponsible think.
Yeah,
that's wrong think, sir.
There was another article written it was posted on The Independent by an author named Adam Smith, a writer, Adam Smith. And his was pretty funny, I thought. He wrote, Jewish news website Forward has said that the app Parler is full of fury, fear, and conspiracy theories with notable anti-Semitism and Islamophobia. The belief that Jews are running the world, encouraging immigrants to flood America's borders, controlling the media, and generally working behind the scenes as master puppeteers are easy to find on Parler. Anti-Semitic conspiracy theories about Mark Zuckerberg and George Soros are also commonplace. Many users are also vocal supporters of Mr. Trump and have developed far-right communities on the platform. Oh my gosh. Upon signing up to the website, Parler recommended trends that were popular right now included hashtag Trump tweets matter, hashtag Ku Klux Klan, hashtag George Soros, and hashtag Cove Idiots. There were also a number of tweets related to Christianity with the hashtags including hashtag Second Coming and hashtag God is Love. Under the hashtag Ku Klux Klan were 6 posts, 2 of which were about the recently deceased Senator Robert Byrd, a member of the Klan who came to embrace civil rights and desegregation in the 1970s. So I joined it. I didn't see any George Soros or Ku Klux Klan or anything like that.
Yeah, downloading it now. How absolutely vile. God is love. How dare you,
Right.
sirs?
Terrible.
Absolutely terrible.
Oh my gosh. I don't know what we're going to be able to do.
No, we might learn to love our neighbor or think, and no, that's terrible.
This is the problem with liberty. When you have freedom, there are going to be things that are icky about freedom. Because there are going to be things that people do that they're free to do that you don't necessarily agree with. And this is one of the reasons why you and I wanted to start a podcast, because we wanted to say, you know what? Yes, freedom is a responsibility. And I think you believe, as well as I believe, I think we can both agree that freedom can be icky.
Yes.
And if people are free, they're going to do things that you just quite frankly don't agree with. But yet, if you are a principled and individual and you have values, then you're not going to be doing those icky things.
Right. Well, right? And the other thing is too, it's it's very easy to attack the liberties of other people when they're doing things that you don't agree with. You just listed off a couple people making disparaging comments about other people's basically exercising their right of free speech. You know what? I don't agree, and I'd probably not like if I saw posts about the KKK and support for that. That would piss me off. But if you inhibit their ability to talk about what they want to talk about, then that means you're also going to be able to inhibit my ability to talk about, hey, maybe I do want to be on a group that's talking about God as love. Maybe right now in our society, I think that's really freaking important for more people to start talking about. And if you're going to limit one, you limit the other. If I'm going to stand up for one, I have to be willing to stand for the rights of others. I don't have to like 90% of what's being said out there. There's a lot of things being chanted behind banners and posters and picket signs right now that I can't stand. But I can stand by the idea that I appreciate that they have the right to peaceably assemble and to speak their mind. And I do mean peaceably assemble. Rioting is absolutely not a right.
Did you see how the Chaz group, Chaz, right? The Chaz or CHOP, whatever they're calling it, Capitol Hill, Autonomous Zone, and I don't remember what CHOP.
Which I still don't understand how that hasn't just been freaking shut the heck down.
Oh, they shut themselves down. Did you read that they released this? They released this announcement today.
They must have ran out of weed and gummy bears.
Apparently they did, because they woke up today. They have some committee called the Solidarity Committee, and the Solidarity Committee woke up this morning. I think it was this morning. And it might have been yesterday morning. I forget. One of the days this week, they woke up. Solidarity woke up. They all got together. They said, "Hey, those few hundred people that we have running around here? Well, there's only about 11 of them over there. There's only about 11 people left. Everybody went home.
Everybody said, I'm tired."
Yeah, miss my bed, man.
Yeah.
So they went home. And of course, what did they do? They planted the flag, declared victory.
What?
The Chaz movement, right? The members of the Solidarity Committee, that's what they're called. That's what they're calling themselves. The governing body of Chaz, they called themselves the Solidarity Committee, right? They declared victory and they said, we did it. Yeah. We did it. Now go vote Biden. That's what they did. That's what they said. I'm not.
Well, you know what? I hereby declare today to be Jason Day in the land of Jasonville. In my garage, I am the king.
And then they admitted that there was going to be, like, later that afternoon, there was going to be some, they were organizing some group gathering, I guess they were going to bang some drums or something. I don't know what they were going to do. Smoke some chipotle or, I don't know,
rooms,
something, right? And so they were going to have this get together to bang their drums. And they realized, there's only going to be about 70 people there. And over the next couple of days, we anticipate that number is going to decline and get fewer and fewer. So let's just pack it up and go home and tell everybody to go home. So they did. So now the Chaz Chop thing is no more.
Oh, okay. They'll organize again on Twitter and go for round 2.
Well, that's exactly what they said they would do. They said, let's organize on social media and go out and vote Biden. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, cool. Good for them. I'm glad they're exercising their rights, and that's just cool. They'll probably bring more Cheerios and stuff to snack on next time so they don't get hungry and tired. Oh my gosh. So yeah, you know what? Is that ridiculous? Yes. Do I hate it? Yes. Do they have the right to do it? Yes. Yes, they do. As long as it's done peacefully.
Yeah. I don't agree with the Chaz thing because they blocked everything off. There are people that live in that area. Businesses couldn't reopen.
Right. Yeah.
They were infringing on the rights of other people that live in that area, and that was wrong.
Well, and I'll be 100% honest. I didn't follow 99% of it because I didn't care.
Yeah, I didn't care either.
For everyone else out there, does that make me a bad person? I don't care about that either. You want to call me a bad person? Cool.
You're such a stoic.
I really don't. I'm sorry. That does not affect me. I'm sorry that affected people in that area because it shouldn't. And you know what? You're talking about a bunch of people who are out. I don't even think they really know what the heck they were marching for or against out there. And I think that's why 90% of them finally went, what are we doing? I don't even remember. We're mad. Okay, why are we mad? I don't know. I'm tired. Me too. I'm hungry. Yeah, you want to hit Denny's? Okay, let's go. That's what happened. Most of them all just went to go get food and said, I'm going to go home and go to bed. I'm tired. I haven't slept well. I mean, okay. So the actual impact of what it had, I know it was big enough to make the news, but then again, a lot of stuff gets blown up in the news anyway to where I go, is this really even a thing? And then it gets forgotten about in about 3 days. So here we are.
Here we are. Well, Bronies. My Little Pony.
Oh, dude.
So
I was really disturbed when I learned that this whole almost cultist-like following of My Little Pony is a bunch of middle to late age dudes.
Yeah.
That's creepy.
Yeah. Mostly male.
No,
you said dudes and I said mostly male. That's
funny. I know, it's okay. Bless your heart. You're still stuck in last week's proper pronoun thing. I think. I'd be very seriously concerned that like a good 90% of those people are also on the sex offenders website. I mean, I'm serious.
They may be. They may be. You know what's really interesting? There's actually a documentary about this called Bronies. I think it's called Bronies. Yeah, Bronies documentary.
Such a nerd.
It.
For the rest of you out there, click. I'm going to look it up right now. Yep, got it. It's Bronies.
There are people listening to this saying, "How does he know there's a documentary about bronies? And what the hell is a brony?" So I think so I've watched the documentary,
Okay. That's that. Ew.
Well, first of all,
Everybody
I'm a fan
listening,
of
the actual full name is Dr. Manuel Ramirez, and he lives in the Phoenix, Arizona area. Please check your your sex offender website and make sure.
Oh crap! So I'm a huge fan of documentaries. I enjoy watching
Oh,
documentaries.
okay. Not
Yeah,
My Little Ponies, but documentaries.
documentaries,
Okay.
and I think it was on Netflix at one time.
Bronies?
I think so.
Oh, okay. I didn't know if you meant My Little Pony.
I don't know if that's on Netflix, but
Okay.
but the documentary Bronies was on. I believe it was on Netflix.
Okay.
Here, let me
click. I'll find out right now.
Because I know there are people that are gonna. You know what? You don't need to Google it. Okay, you don't need to Google it. Why? Well, because I'm gonna show you this.
Yes, I'm gonna show it to you.
I'm gonna show you.
Oh
show you.
my gosh.
You ready?
I guess so.
All right. Here we go.
One of my friends called me on Skype one day and said, "Hey, have you seen this show? My Little Pony Friendship is Magic. It's so good." I was like, "Isn't that like a show for little girls?"
I wanted to have a show like 6 characters, 6 girls, 6 ponies, who were friends with one another.
And next thing I know, I was kind of leaning forward into my monitor and I was like, this show is amazing.
The show itself is extremely well done. The art is fantastic. The writing is wonderful.
Wait, that is fantastic artwork. Look at that. You're muted.
Oh my gosh, I'm sorry. Yeah, that's fantastic. We should have your buddy Paul come on and critique this.
Oh,
He would just tear this up. I love it.
I'm gonna tell him that he's been mentioned and needs to listen to this episode.
Yes, please.
Yeah, that's yeah.
There's a pony with a stash.
Yeah.
Dear Princess Celestia, today I learned
There's this huge movement of guys
Look at these
just
guys.
so into the show.
It's not a show that you'd expect a lot of people.
Okay, I don't really equate this with ponies, but
What the hell? Oh my god, there was a bunch of dudes. It was that's creepy.
right?
People my age and older to
Look at
watch.
How you doing?
Look at the raving.
I'm not a fan of puppeteers, but I have a nagging fear someone else is pulling out the strings. Something terrible is going down through the entire.
We have musicians, we have artists, and they're all professionals.
I know I can't move at all.
There's like armies of professionals. It's crazy.
Discord, I'm howling out the moon and sleeping in the middle of a summer afternoon. Discord, what heaven did we do?
He was different from the rest of the world.
I was just sitting here, I was just living day to day. I didn't really have anything to look forward to. As soon as ponies came into my life, I was like, wow, I never want the day to end.
He never wanted the day to end after ponies came into his life. He was
What the hell is wrong with our society?
he was a man wandering lost in the wasteland,
Oh,
looking for a drink of water in the desert.
he needs a girlfriend.
And then ponies came along and he was saved. Kind of like Moses.
It's like he needs Jesus.
If you choose to be a brony in the Appalachian Mountains, you're gonna have problems.
Sparkle,
They had
2012.
tire irons, baseball bats. They're all laughing and calling me names, gay, girly, queer.
Now they shouldn't do that. I mean,
Oh my
yes, we're
God.
laughing
Okay.
at them, but you know, I'm not going to call them names, and other people don't need to be mean to them physically and
Well,
just online.
And that's not right. You don't damage anybody's personal property. You call, that's not right. But You know what? You've got a Sparkle Pony 18 sign in the back of your window of your car that goes from side to side. You know,
Sometimes I'll just listen to a lesson and go, oh yeah, why didn't I think of that?
Before I watched the show, I was kind of sad and lonely.
And he said, what would you think, Mom, if I said I really liked My Little Pony?
But her initial reaction was a bit like,
I'd be worried about you, Lyle.
I'm not interested in watching My Little Pony.
Well, when I heard about
I mean, look at this guy. I don't, I believe him. I believe he doesn't have a lot of friends, or didn't at this time, right?
I believe him too. And there's a common theme, I think, happening here. If you're not listening to everybody, but you got people who are saying that they don't have much in their life to uplift them. So they found something in My Little Pony to give them, a little shot in the arm that they needed.
And for that, if I was this kid's parents, I would be grateful.
Yeah,
I really would. If
I had a kid suffering with depression and doing that, and all of a sudden this is actually bringing joy, and okay,
that's fine. Then that's fine.
And yeah, I could see why mom would be at first reaction going, "Ooh, I don't know, son. That's a little. Are you sure?" And I'm sure that conversation will probably need to be hashed out in another year or two. Or maybe she's probably just waiting it out, going, well, this is working for him right now. Maybe he'll grow up and grow out of it. I don't, but there's no handbook for parenting either.
Right.
It's the 50-year-old guys that creep me out.
Yeah.
Oh, they're
My
coming.
son was hell-bent on going, so I feel like I got roped into it.
Just being out of the norm, well, out of their norm. They just don't like that. I'm going to be who I am, and nobody's going to tell me otherwise. Now I'm here, 900 miles of the biggest con. 4 times the population of my town is in this building.
Before I was a brony, I had about 7 friends. When I became a brony, I had about a few hundred.
Bronies are some of the nicest, most accepting people that I've met. It doesn't matter your age, your gender, no matter who you are, you can find a place in this fandom and you can be accepted.
I wouldn't be surprised if My Little Pony has a hand in changing how people see things. I think it makes these little tweaks on people to sort of go, oh, okay.
These bronies are taking these lessons to heart. We need to allow men to be sensitive and to care about one another and not call them weak for caring.
Come on, every pony, smile, smile, smile. Fill my heart up with sunshine, sunshine. All I really need is a smile, smile, smile from these happy friends of mine. Yes, they're perfect kids.
We're a long way from across Street, a long, long way.
And that's bronies.
Whoa.
Crazy, huh?
Good for them. Okay.
You know what I find funny is James Wood. He's a big conservative, and he did a voice for one of the ponies in, I think, the movie or something like that. And he actually went to that convention. And I know that the people in that audience are not his people. I know they're not conservatives. They're left leaning. I just know that. And the reason why I know that is because I've been to similar conventions, like comic book conventions, gaming conventions, etc. But James Woods went, and he was embraced. They loved him because he was there. But good on James for actually going and doing that. So the reason why I wanted to show that to you is kind of set the stage.
I'm waiting.
Right. Because My Little Pony, remember there was that girl in the preview. She was talking about how they're the most accepting people, and
Right.
Yeah,
and they're going to change the way people think.
Right.
Interesting.
But apparently the community has a huge Nazi problem.
Well, that doesn't make sense.
Right. Yeah, it seems kind of weird. So apparently there's this website, Derp Iburu. I don't even know if I'm pronouncing it.
What? Our credibility factor just went.
Man, I don't know, man. It's called Derp Derpibooru. How do you pronounce? How would you pronounce it? Derpibooru.
Sure.
I don't know.
Okay.
But apparently, this is a website that was spawned after a bunch of bronies started meeting on 4chan. Well, we all know what happens on 4chan. 4chan is pretty much the armpit of the interwebs. And so they started this Derpibooru website, and you can go in there and you can just post whatever you want. Now, I have to admit, the site seems to be pretty open in terms of free speech, because they allow pretty much anything. And apparently they're, you saw in the preview, there were people that have embraced this pony culture and are creating artworks and, paintings and drawings, etc., of other ponies, right? But there are people that are painting and creating artwork around ponies, and they're posting on this website.
Don't do it.
Who are, I guess, Nazi ponies.
Okay. So, wait, like they've got the swastika armbands?
Yes.
Walk around. Okay.
There's a pony. There's a pony called like Aryan.
Okay.
Like
yeah, I get it.
There's a pony called like Aryan. I read this article and now I can't find the name on it. It's it's a play on the word.
This will drive Lucy absolutely crazy.
It's going to drive me absolutely nuts. I can't find it. I can't find the name. Where is it? I can't find it.
This is the most entertaining part of this whole thing thus far, is watching you struggle to try and find your
oh my God.
Well,
yeah, I know.
It's she said that it's the most accepting group. So no matter what you believe, no matter what you think, no matter what you aspire to or anything like that, that this brony group is very accepting of whatever that is, right?
Yes.
So even if you're a Nazi, you should be welcome in this group, is what I gathered from that.
Well, here from the article, it says, My Little Pony fandom has developed a totally nonsensical hodgepodge of values. No kidding. Many fans who specifically support Black Lives Matter, for example, are also fans of Aryan. Aryanne. Aryan. See? Nice. A fan-invented Nazi pony with a pink swastika on her hip. They do not acknowledge a contradiction. I love Aryan, a 25-year-old My Little Pony fan named Sam told me. It's just cute, funny, sexy art. Then he added, Black Lives Matter art is great. I welcome it. Well, that's good. Yeah.
Okay.
All right. A Nazi pony. A Nazi pony.
Do people actually think anymore? No. I mean, okay. I'm really not trying to be funny. I'm not. Oh my good God.
My Little Nazi, the curious link between the alt-right and the My Little Pony fandom. Isn't that cute? It's a horse.
Dude, that is
long flowing hair with wings. It's a unicorn even. It's a Pegasus and a unicorn.
It's a Unipegasus.
Unipeg. With flowing blonde hair, standing upon a wreathed swastika.
So I'm gonna say this, and this is the.
Look at this guy.
What the fuck?
He's got his little pony.
Okay, this is absolutely not acceptable. I'm sorry. I got it. No, absolutely not. Look, if you are out there and you are supporting the Black Lives Matter movement, whether I agree with you or not, you should have a huge friggin' problem with that. if you're not out there supporting the Black Lives Matter movement, and you, even if you're like Lucy and I who support free speech, you have to see the dangers of something like that. I support the right that you have to say stupid stuff, but you have to actually understand that I'm going to stand up and call it stupid crap. That's insanity. And when did that become acceptable? For crying out loud, the Republican Party has been called out as quote unquote Nazis this whole time. We even talked about the use of the term alt-right.
Yeah.
For that same thing. This is supposed to be cute and funny.
Apparently. Look at this one. This is Ariane. This is Ariane.
That's
a little
insanity.
pony.
That's insane.
See, she got the cute little pink heart with swastika, the red armband.
I tell you what,
she's giving the Sieg Heil salute.
Sieg Heil, yeah, I get it. I tell you what, anybody who finds that cute and amusing, watch the movie American History X. Come talk to me again.
Right?
And let's discuss it.
Right?
Okay.
Well, I guess they do have I guess the brony culture, I guess they do have a Nazi problem.
I guess maybe they do. Wow, that went from disturbing and amusing to very serious very quick. And I'm sorry, but there's a line.
You know, on one hand, I applaud the website for just saying, "Hey, post whatever you want."
Well, no, I don't have a problem with the website existing. And frankly, I think YouTube and Twitter and a lot of these other things need to actually start waking up and taking a lesson. Trying to put yourself in a position where you are responsible for the content of the millions of users using your platform is absolutely setting you up for failure and big time legal problems, because now you become the arbiter of what is acceptable or unacceptable speech and expression.
Yeah.
And that is not okay. That's not for anybody to say. Sorry, that's just not. So you're better off to go the realm of, let's say, somebody like Parler or BitChute. I'll throw them a bone and say, at least those platforms are saying, look, you guys post whatever you want, but it's you who's going to come under scrutiny and fire for what you say. And that's the element and the idea of free speech. You can say whatever the heck you want. That doesn't mean you are not going to face repercussions from it, but that's for you to own.
And this is my point with trying to educate people to have principles and values, because I firmly believe that if people improve and increase and strengthen their own principles and values, then this kind of stuff doesn't exist, right? You don't wind up with ponies. Obviously, I mean, it's a cute drawing. If you just look at the horse, take away the swastikas, right? But you just look at the little horse. It's a cute little horse.
Yeah.
There's nothing wrong with that. It's cute. And it's like, oh, look how cuddly.
Right.
But if people had principles, for crying out loud, and they respected their fellow humans, then this kind of stuff, I believe, just won't exist, because people would recognize and say, you know what, that's in bad taste. I'm not.
Well, all right. So we've got a lot of things going on in our culture right now. Let's turn this around. Let's try something else. What if I were to take, was it Ariane?
Ariane.
And change that swastika, which I thought would probably be one of the most offensive symbols used in history. Apparently not. Let's change that to a noose.
Yeah, let's change it to a noose.
What happens? Is that still okay? I mean, now is that socially acceptable? You got to be kidding me.
Well, now keep in mind, a lot of the bronies are not in favor of the Nazis that have sort of permeated into their culture. At least, okay.
You know what? I don't know.
Well, at least that was according to the article. So, you know, I'm trying to be for full transparency and honesty with you.
Sure. Yep.
There are a lot of people that, you know, there are some people that say, "Oh, I think it's cute and it's no big deal," and you have other people that are saying in the community saying, "No, I don't want to have anything to do with that." I actually like the fact that the website allows anything to be put on the website.
Sure.
Now they have different categories, so they don't just put it up there for everybody to see. If you want to see the weird crap, then you have to go to this part of, this file structure, folder structure, whatever on the website, and then you can see that. So it's kept, there are people moderating this and making sure that the artwork is in the right buckets. Okay. And that's fine. I have no problem with that. And I have no problem with people liking it per se. I think that these kinds of websites follow the free market type of mentality, where if a vast majority of the fans don't care for it,
then they'll take it down and they won't have it up there.
Then you'll have fewer and fewer people who post that stupid crap, because they'll recognize that's not part of the culture, and the culture will self-correct. Those people, the normal, people with decency will self-ostracize those who are counterculture, and we don't really want to associate with you. And eventually those stragglers will go off and entertain themselves with something new.
Sure.
The culture will self-correct.
And that's typical. I mean, and there's been that same push with a lot of various other things that we have throughout time or history have found to be tasteless or debauchery. I mean, honestly, I'm almost surprised that pornography has lasted as long as it has. But even that in its own right actually goes through a cycle in our normal lifespan, right? There's usually a demographic norm as far as the supply and demand goes. You know what I'm saying? Every kid, well, at least I'll speak for the boys out there. No offense, ladies. I don't know and I don't want to know. But for the boys, you go through a certain period in your life during puberty and whatnot. Everybody's got their box, right? And then it goes away, whether it either gets passed along to everyone else or you just actually throw it away. But the fact of the matter is, yeah, I said it. That's cool. Everybody's got the old skin box. So, but even still, even in the natural course of life, that life expectancy peaks and then dies off. And just like things like this, I'm sure Ariane and in other ways, the supply might spike and then the demand's going to fade away. And that's going to be the end of it.
Porn is a really interesting topic, and not that we're going to get into porn. I
parked your interest, did I? That's crazy.
There are a lot of people, that I run into that, in conversations will say, they say, well, exactly what you said. I'm surprised porn has lasted so long. And I'm like, really? You find that surprising? Let's face it. There are women who enjoy watching porn. Now, I think they're the vast minority. I could be wrong. That's just my assumption. I think the vast majority of porn consumers are men. And that's because men are typically, well, aside from being dogs, I just want to talk about it from the perspective of biologic function, right? Men are more, they go through their sexual peak at a much younger age than women, right? In their late teens, early 20s. And let's face it, men are also very visually drawn. They're visual sexual beings, right? So they like to see things. For them, visual things are enticing. That's just the way that men are wired. Men like to look at stuff, right? There are things that men find very physically attractive and sexually attractive to the male eye. And so men like to see things. That's what turns them on. Women are not that way. Most women are not wired that way biologically.
Most women are emotionally driven.
Right. Most women are driven by other types of things that get them sexually aroused. But men are really sexually aroused by visual indicators. And it's part of the millions of years of evolution. It's wired into our DNA. I'm not excusing it. I'm not trying to place any kind of value status on that. I'm not trying to say porn is okay. I'm just trying to describe something that I think is existing in the world. And I think that's why porn exists. You have a vast majority of men who go through that, whether it's sexual repression, whatever, they want to see things. I've heard stories. I don't know of anybody in particular, but I've heard stories of men who they even with their, they might even be married with the sexual partner that they have, but they need to watch porn in order to get into the mood. That's a whole other bag of issues that an individual has to contend with. So of course porn is going to be around. I mean, even if you go to get a vasectomy and you have to give, you know, or you have to get your sperm count, what do they give you? They give you porn.
Right.
You go to the doctor's office and they're like, here, we need you to ahem into this cup and go into that room. And in that room is a bunch of porn, right? Because they know what turns guys on. And it's a multi-billion-dollar a year industry.
Sure.
So unless the dollars die out, and the dollars are uniquely tied to men's biological stuff, well, I ain't gonna go away anytime soon.
So I'd like it noted, at least in the minutes of our conversation, that I was talking about supply and demand and capitalism and how things actually die out and the cultural norm actually will correct itself. You went on a very specific discussion in relation to porn. Bravo, sir.
We should have an entire show around porn.
I think you could probably handle that on your own. Given
I am not going to show porn on the show, though. I will not cap.
Not only that, it'd probably get flagged for copyright and everything else too,
or at least indecency or something,
or a handful of other things.
Yeah, who knows?
So, okay,
some kind of craziness.
Moving on.
All right.
You brought up something else to me earlier this week, and we haven't talked about it yet tonight. I didn't know if you even wanted to get into it, but you were mentioning something about a situation at NASCAR. Did you want to talk about that while we're sitting here, or not really?
Oh God.
This is the favorite part of my show, where I actually get to mention stuff and watch Lucy squirm for a few about how to actually handle this, because he likes doing this to me all the time.
Bubba Wallace.
Yeah.
For those that don't know, Bubba Wallace, there was a race, I think it was at Talladega over the weekend. Bubba Wallace, his crew, one of his crewmen found a noose hanging in his garage. So all of the drivers, all the teams get a garage.
Yep.
And one of his crewmen said that, hey, we found a noose. Terrible. And people on social media, fans in NASCAR, were outraged. In fact, I don't exactly know what happened. I saw a brief video of it, but hit Bubba Wallace's car. I don't know exactly what happened to it, but anyway, his car was driven out through the pit lane, and all of the teams came out, all the crews and everything came out, and they walked alongside his car, and they walked it to the end of the pit lane. I don't really know what that meant, but they were trying to show like, hey, we're all in solidarity with Bubba Wallace. We all stand together. We're one big community, family, which I totally appreciate. Sure. It was a huge display of solidarity. But there were a couple of things that I found quite interesting. And the first thing was that over the weekend, pictures of the alleged noose were never shown.
Mm-hmm.
And then it came out, it was reported that, well, Bubba Wallace wasn't the one who actually found it. It was found by his crewman, and he never saw it. Well, that's kind of weird.
Yeah, that's a little odd, right?
What do you mean he didn't see it? Like, if somebody comes to you, if I came to you and I said, hey, Jason,
yep,
somebody took put a gigantic turd on the dining room table, your first reaction is going to be, what?
And
I
then
got to check this out.
No, well, I wouldn't say I got to check this out. I'd just go.
But essentially, you're gonna want to go see that,
right?
Like, I got to see this for myself. I got to, no,
I don't believe you.
I don't believe you. Let me go. Right. Let me go look. Right. Your first reaction is, let me go see this. But after the incident, for a couple of days, Bubba Wallace kept saying he hadn't seen it. He hadn't seen it. He hadn't seen it. He was very adamant he hadn't seen it.
Okay.
The FBI actually got involved as a potential hate crime.
Right.
I think there were something like 17, 15 FBI agents.
Too many to fit in one garage at NASCAR.
Right.
But, okay.
They came out to investigate this incident.
Which, if that's the case, yeah, that's a big friggin' deal.
That's huge.
Yeah.
Right? But it turned out that there were some internet sleuths. I'm telling you, the internet has a lot of really skilled people. And they were looking at something, and they said, you know what? this doesn't really look right. They had a picture, and so here was, let me put this up here. See if you can take a look at this.
Okay.
So here's a picture. Now, this is the stall next to Bubba Wallace's stall. Okay, next to his garage.
Okay.
So see, here's this rope, and it's got this loop on it on the end. Well, it turns out last year
that's to pull the garage door down.
Yeah, it's to pull the garage door down. All of the garage doors have this on there. They were installed last year.
This is what they were talking about?
Yeah.
You're kidding me.
Right. And so somebody had taken, there was somebody last year, or maybe it was earlier this year, I can't remember exactly when, there was a video footage of somebody just happened to be walking along these garages. Not that they were filming the ropes, but they were filming the different cars and whatnot.
Right.
And so they said, wait a minute, this is on all of the different doors, these handles. And they said, was this what Bubba Wallace was talking about? And in the next picture from Bubba Wallace's garage, that loop was there. And then in the next scene, in the next picture, there was evidence where you could see it was shorter, as if they had cut it off. They cut it off. Okay. And of course, there were people that said, "Oh, you guys are crap. That's not the right noose. It's not there was something else.
It can't be that.
It can't be that.
Can't be that."
And sure enough, the FBI came out and said, "Nope, that was what it was." They were talking about the pull handles. So the FBI confirmed that this is what they were talking about. And Bubba Wallace went on TV. He went on The View. He went on, I can't remember, Don Lemon, I think. And he was, giving these interviews. I'm going to overcome. I'm going to overcome, and
No, wait. Time out.
Mm-hmm.
Those interviews and all that. That was before he actually saw this. Then
allegedly, well, he said he'd never seen it at the time.
Okay, all right.
Right. He was coming out. He was doing these interviews saying, I'm going to overcome. I'm not going to let this hold me back. Right.
Well,
this is a picture. This is a picture.
Wait a minute. Hold on. No. Okay. Time out.
Uh-huh.
So I was giving as much credence as I can to everything, but now I got to go back and go, wait, he's going on to The View and network television and everywhere else.
Mm-hmm.
And I have no love nor hate for Bubba Wallace. Frankly, I don't really watch NASCAR, but so he was actually going on talking about this hate crime apparatus in his garage that he still hadn't even seen.
Yes. Uh-huh.
Lucy, I swear to God, if I do anything like that, I hope you call me out and say, bitch,
"Oh, don't worry. Oh, don't worry. Oh, yeah, that will happen." That will happen.
Okay, continue.
So this is a picture taken after his car was walked down the pit lane. You can see everybody in the background here. Here's a shot of him actually, he's in the car, they're driving out, whatever. And all the crews are coming out and walking around the car, all in solidarity. All this is fine. I have no problem with any of this. Then when the FBI announced their story and said there was no hate crime, this was a door handle, then Bubba Wallace doubled down and he said, no, I saw it. Now he came out and said he saw it, and that the door handle, it was something different from the door handle. And it wasn't the door handle, it was some other noose. So he doubled down, and he basically was chastising or trying to shame any of the naysayers.
Mm-hmm. Well, yeah, a little bit easier to do that than, okay.
And then they released this picture. This picture, I think, came out today.
Okay.
And now this looks more like a noose.
Yes, it does.
But there were people on social media, people on the internet immediately looked at it and said, well, wait a minute. Why you got a picture here? You didn't release this picture at all at the beginning.
Mm-hmm.
You never released any picture. Yeah, this looks more like a noose, but also what people noticed was, hey, you didn't actually show the top of this rope. Where's this rope leading to? The FBI confirmed that it was part of the door handle.
Right.
So the FBI concluded it wasn't a hate crime. Now, I don't have any knowledge of the agents who were on scene that were sent by the FBI, but they sent, like I said, like 15 or 17 FBI agents. Given the nature of this, I would be willing to bet that some of them were black, that some of the FBI agents were probably
black. I guarantee it.
Just a hunch. I don't know.
No, and I can tell you, if I was in charge of the field assignment for the FBI,
you would want to send some.
You darn tootin'. Matter of fact, if I had my druthers, I'd send all of them.
Right, because you want to make sure that you don't want to be caught from the FBI's perspective. You don't want to be caught as, well, the FBI was being racist. The FBI brushed this under the covers, so we're not going to send. We're going to send all white people. We don't want to do that. As an FBI, I would make sure that there were at least some black agents who went. I would at least try.
Yeah, if I was going to send 18, I'd probably send at least 16 of them who were black if I could.
And at least half,
and at least a couple of them who were women. Just I'll cover that basis too for those reasons.
So the FBI concluded this wasn't a hate crime. They concluded it was part of the door handle, and then we get a picture today of this by the door, but we can't see the top of it.
Right.
So some people said, well, what was to stop you? Who's even to say if this was the actual thing that was found? Could this have been created after the fact and then hung in front of the... Now, I know that sounds very conspiratorial.
Sure.
But the reason why it draws it's at least worth the ask. It's a question. I think it's a valid question. Well, why didn't we see this picture to begin with? And how come the full picture the full rope wasn't shown before? And then how come this picture doesn't match with the other types of rope that was found, like this one? This is a different kind of a knot.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But
yeah, I don't know. I don't know. I'm not there. I genuinely don't know. But it sounds an awful lot like crying wolf and then running out to go find a wolf.
Yeah.
After the fact.
And that's what people feel. And when Bubba Wallace came out and doubled down on it, he was chastising fans who weren't believing him. Finally today, he made some kind of an announcement. I read it and I forget what it said exactly, but he basically said, summarizing that thankfully it was a misunderstanding and it wasn't a hate crime, blah, blah, blah. And I thought, if he had said that initially, rather than doubling down and rather than going on The View and going on, Don Lemon and having these interviews, if he didn't do any of that and he immediately released a statement that said the FBI found no wrongdoing, it wasn't a hate crime, it was a door handle, sorry, I'm glad it was taken care of, misunderstanding, I think people would have responded much more positively.
Absolutely.
Instead, there are NASCAR fans who are like, you know what, I'm done. This is ridiculous. The NASCAR has already banned the Confederate flag. Now, they did ban the Confederate flag to be flown at races. Fans would bring Confederate flags. The NASCAR is big in the South.
Well, NASCAR originated in the South with the bootleggers. That's what it was. NASCAR,
oh, sure. This was where racing is from. Yeah.
That's how NASCAR started. It was actually, stock cars that were being souped up to evade police when they were running moonshine. I mean, and that's why they actually still do the moonshine runs, which are all done at night in honor of that. And actually, it's part of the history as to why, believe it or not, why a lot of all the NASCAR cars don't actually have functioning headlights. Because even then, you didn't use your headlights when you were running the cops because you ran at night, and then if you had your headlights on, they could see you for miles.
Right.
So is that actually a part of how the birth of that sport started? Yes. Now, you want to ban the Confederate flag? Fine. You know what? I have no love lost for it. It doesn't bother me any. The problem I see is this goes right back to what we first started talking about being guilty upon accusation and having to try and prove your innocence.
Right.
And if we immediately jump to the nth degree and assume everybody out there is racist, I'm sorry, that's a racist position.
Yeah.
To find yourself in, where everything you find has a racist connotation.
Now here's a question. Here's a question I think needs to be asked. I'm curious. I don't know the answer to this question. And I think reporters, why shouldn't a reporter ask it? Was Jesse Smollett? I almost called him Jesse Smollett.
Oh my God.
Was Bubba Wallace the reason why the Confederate flag was banned at NASCAR? I don't know.
What?
Was Bubba Wallace, did he complain about the Confederate flag being flown at NASCAR? Did he complain? And is that the reason why NASCAR pulled or NASCAR came up with the ruling that said the Confederate flag can no longer be flown at our races? I don't know the answer to that, but I'm asking, I want to know the answer. I think it's a legitimate question. Should somebody ask Bubba Wallace and say, hey, were you the reason why the Confederate flag was banned at races? And then if so, did you take advantage of this to try to remove some of the heat for your complaint against the Confederate flag?
So I see where you're going. And is that a legitimate question? Sure. Do we have the right to ask it? Yeah, absolutely. Do I think that's a leap? Me personally? Yeah. I think NASCAR has been under heat and fire for flying the Confederate flag at races for years. Now, what the catalyst was to finally have them cave in and just say, okay, to heck with it. It's not worth fighting for anymore. I don't know. Maybe there is a connection there. I don't know.
The reason why I say that, the reason why I don't think it's a big leap to make in this situation, meaning if Bubba Wallace, one guy, complained to NASCAR and then NASCAR said, okay, this is the straw that breaks the camel's back, ban the Confederate flag. I don't think that's a leap. And the reason why I don't think that that's a leap is there are numerous reports where one or two people have said, hey, this is racist, and so a company bans something, or they say this is racist, so then the company changes their policy, when all it was one or two people complaining.
Sure.
So, all I'm saying is we have precedent where one, two, even maybe no more than five people have made a complaint about something and a company caves.
Yep. Better to just cave and say forget it than go through the fight and hassle of all the public smearing, because that's, again, you're guilty in the court of public opinion.
Right.
And it just needs it just takes you actually taking a stand and saying, no, that's retarded. We're not doing that.
So is it a stretch then for one guy who happens to be, I think the only driver in NASCAR who is black? He's half black. I think his father is a white man. But still, whatever. Is it that big of a stretch to think that one person complaining could have forced them? I mean, look at what Colin Kaepernick has been able to do with the NFL. That was just one guy.
Oh, good.
Yeah, I know.
So, speaking of NFL, I have to throw a little shout out. I'm going to steal 2 seconds of our airtime. Big kudos to Dan Snyder and everyone out there at the Washington Redskins for holding their ground for as long as they have and continuing to do so. I am a Washington Redskins fan, and I always have been. Thanks, Mom. And yeah, you know what? Even the tribal chiefs have all met there. It's actually a really, really cool museum at FedEx Field. If anybody has a chance to go to look at Native American culture and art and things displayed on there, there's a great, for anyone out there in the listening world, not anywhere near where I'm at. And Lucy, you can attest to this, even when you were up here. I'm very close to the Navajo Reservation, and I frequent the Navajo Reservation for work quite a bit. Do you know what I see out there as far as decals on the back of cars are? The Washington Redskins logo everywhere. They love the Redskins, and they don't find that offensive at all. The people that do probably have never been anywhere near close to a reservation to even know what the heck I'm even talking about.
Well,
so kudos to at least the organization for standing their ground on that.
Well, there's a high school here in Arizona over on the Indian Reservation in Red Mesa. It's in the Navajo Nation. Its mascot, I mean, we're talking literally on the Navajo Indian Reservation.
Mm-hmm.
Its mascot is the Redskins.
There you go. Yeah. It's
and they're one of the biggest. This school is one of the biggest defenders of the Washington Redskins, because they're like, no, we love it.
Yeah.
Because what people, this is, we had this just this past week. We had the death of Aunt Jemima.
Yep.
Right. We got rid of Aunt Jemima. There was something else.
Uncle Ben's.
Was it Uncle Ben's? Okay.
I think
Uncle
it was
Ben's.
Yeah.
Right.
Yep.
Washington Redskins. These are examples. So.
Oh, and they're talking about getting rid of Eskimo pies.
Oh yeah, Eskimo pie. That's right. Because the word Eskimo for some reason is a racist term, and I don't understand why. That's a racist term.
They're Inuits or in the
Inuits,
whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which, I'm sorry, Eskimo pies are delicious,
right.
And I think even the Inuits probably, if they had a handful of Eskimo pies, would say, "I freaking love them. Give me another Eskimo pie."
Well,
they're not. What the
problem here is
battles and getting on crusades in name of other people, and without even asking the other people if they friggin' care or not.
Right. The problem is we're erasing these things, and we're basically saying it's racist to have Black or Indian representation in our culture.
Yeah,
and I think that's important.
Racist in and of itself. I'm sorry.
We're basically saying, no, it's too bad. We have to erase Black representation or Indian representation out of our culture for their sake.
Yep.
But then they turn right around and complain that there's not enough representation in things like video games or television or movies.
Well, and
or comic
I
books.
even saw you speaking of Aunt Jemima. It was a great grandson or something of Aunt Jemima, the actual person.
Yeah, said it was bad.
And said, "What the heck are you doing? You guys are eliminating my grandmother or great grandmother's legacy from history. She worked her whole life for that, and you're taking it away. How dare you?"
Yeah. And it's like when HBO, they banned just last week, they banned the Gone with the Wind from HBO Max or whatever. They said it's not going to be viewable. Well, that's terrible, because the Black actress who played she was one of the slaves, but she was the maid,
right?
In the movie,
she was the first Black actress to win
an Academy Award. Yeah, she won an Academy Award. and so now we can't watch that. People can't watch her performance. A Black woman who won the Academy Award for her performance in Gone with the Wind.
Right.
Because we're erasing the representation that's out there, and I think that's shameful.
Yeah, no, it is. And like I said, we're making these moral high ground crusades in the name of other people without even giving a rat's butt whether they want it, like it, appreciate it, or not. Who died and made you arbiter of truth for everybody? Yeah. Shame on you.
All right.
So anyway, well, there you go.
Cyberpunk 2077.
Okay.
You ready for this one?
I probably not.
Video game. For those of you who do not know, Cyberpunk is a type of game. Started off as a tabletop RPG, much like Dungeons and Dragons, set in a futuristic world where people, there are hackers and people have cybernetic implants and all this kind of cool stuff, right?
It was a break off of Rifts, wasn't it?
I don't remember.
Okay,
maybe.
Anyway.
Maybe. But anyway, there's a new video game coming out later this year called Cyberpunk 2077. A lot of people are excited for it. I am. I'm really looking. I'm really digging to play this game. I was really excited when I heard about it when it was first announced, and I'm getting really excited to play. But here we go. You ready for this?
Okay.
This
was delayed.
Well, it's delayed until November. Yeah, I'm a little irritated about that. But so this article was from IGN. All right. The ESRB has published its ratings report for Cyberpunk 2077, which includes a new bit of information about the game's character creator. Awesome. Let's find out about the character creator for Cyberpunk 2077. You can now customize your player character's genitals. Wait, what?
What?
Yeah. The game's character creator, you can now customize your player character's genitals. I read that correctly. I'm not making this up. I'm not making that up. Per the report, players can select a gender and customize their character. Customization can include depictions of breasts, buttocks, and genitalia, as well as various sizes and combinations of genitals. Wait, combinations?
So you can create a female character with a bulge. Awesome. Well, okay. Never mind story, gameplay, or anything like that. As long as I can create a chick with a bulge, now I'm happy as a gamer. That's what we got? Okay. That's terrible.
Uh-huh. The article goes on to say, this would appear to be a part of CD Projekt Red's decision not to include a traditional gender option in the game, instead offering a really inclusive, expanded character customization menu.
Oh, now I see where we're headed. Okay, see, I had to hear that bit. So now we don't have to gender type or gender role anybody, and nobody feels like they have to, fit in a box. They can create whatever they want.
Correct.
Got it. Okay.
Absolutely right.
So sweet.
Yeah.
Now it's even affecting my games.
Yeah, it says, as we've said before, said a spokesperson for the company, Cyberpunk 2077 is a single player game with no microtransactions. Well, that's good.
Hey.
The ESRB info is based on the fact that expansions require the base game and are therefore treated as a purchase by the rating board. Oh yeah, there was one piece that I skipped where the game is going to have built-in in-game transactions. Let's see. Much of the report, which awards the game an M17 plus rating, so mature, focuses on the adult content mentioned in the previous Australian ratings report, including suggested sexual actions, extreme violence, and gore and swearing. Joy.
Okay. No trigger words?
No trigger warnings?
Trigger warnings?
So I got this up here. I'm going to show you. I'm going to.
Does it have co-op?
Doesn't have co-op.
Online co-op.
It's single player only. So I'm going to show you this little piece. So this is just a quick video of the genital customization. Now, there's some of these are a little pixelated. Their genitals, you can see, are kind of pixelated out, but you'll get the gist of what is actually transpiring here as this, so you can see, he got bigger breasts, she got bigger breasts. Look, they get bigger.
It's a dude with boobs and a girl with a bulge.
Right.
Got it.
You can see how each of them, get really gigantic. So you have,
that's massive.
Yeah.
He or she is well endowed. I'm jealous and or confused.
This is where we're at. Welcome to 2020.
Oh God, no, that says 2077, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so I got a little bit of time to die before I have to deal with that in real life. No, I don't think I do. I think that's coming whether I like it or not.
Yeah, that's happening. All right, the last topic here that I have.
All right, fire away.
Cards Against Humanity. Have you ever played? You said you played Cards Against Humanity with your sister.
I did it
mom.
once. I was down at my sister's house for Thanksgiving. My mom and stepdad were there, and my sister and kid sister were there, along with my wife and my daughter. Now, my daughter didn't get to play. She was over there.
Thank God.
The cousins and having fun and out doing stuff and whatever. But I will say that was mildly, at least, uncomfortable playing Cards Against Humanity with my mom and my kid sister at the same table.
Now, why would it be uncomfortable?
Because those cards are incredible. There is no way to play that game clean. I tried. I was the only one at the table doing it.
Yeah.
Everybody else was going to a sexual innuendo to the 10th degree, and something that's juicy. I said, cherries. I'm not even going to repeat what all the ladies at the table said because I don't want, that was disturbing to me.
So for those who are unaware, Cards Against Humanity is a spin-off, if you will, of the original game called Apples to Apples. Apples to Apples is manufactured by a different company.
Apples to Apples was fun. I liked that.
So let's say if you're playing Apples to Apples, so the way this works is you throw out a card. Every person is a judge for a round, and then at the end of the round, another person becomes the judge, and the judge draws a card from the deck, and it's a card that everybody else has to match to. So everybody has cards in their hand, okay, and it's like 7 cards that you have in your hand, and then the judge flips over a specific type of card, and it might be something like important, okay. So then you have to match face down. You play a card face down, and you have to pick a card from your hand that would describe something that's important. And what the fun part of the game is, you have to try to think not like yourself or not like anybody else at the table other than the judge. You have to think about what's important for the judge. That's really what's at stake here. Because you want the judge to pick your card, but they don't necessarily know what card you played. So everybody plays their card face down, and then the judge picks up the cards off the table, and they look at all of the other cards that the players have played. And what they're trying to do is which of the cards played is important, and they pick that one card and reveal it, and then whoever played that card, they score a point for that round. So if the face-up card is important, you might play blood, I might play oxygen, and then whoever's the judge has to try to determine, well, which one is most important. That actually happened in one game.
That's probably the cleanest thing I've ever heard in a round of Cards Against Humanity.
Right.
So well done.
And it can be very humorous, very funny, right? But Cards Against Humanity takes that and just makes it vile and disgusting.
Yeah.
Right. And it gets into very risque things, very explicit sexual positions and whatnot, and all that kind of good stuff. And that is what Cards Against Humanity is all about. Okay, you play it the exact same way as Apples to Apples, but it's all about horribleness, and it's about essentially being a terrible person. Now, there were the accusations against Cards of Humanity. Accusations have sprung up, basically saying, you know what, the company culture at the company, and the company is called Cards Against Humanity.
So they actually created a company out of this game.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. A group of guys got together. They created this game. They launched it on Kickstarter a number of years ago. It was really successful. They created the game. They sold it. And then they sell little expansion packs of additional cards.
Is it exclusively guys?
I think it was 10 guys who started it, men from college. They started right at a college, this company.
Okay. And I'm just clarifying because I hadn't heard that. So, okay.
So apparently the company culture is terrible. People have made accusations saying, well, it's misogynistic and it's, just vile. You're creating cards that are vile.
Yeah. you literally created a company based out of a completely vile premised game. What do you expect?
Yeah. Right. I mean, can you imagine now? I wonder, is there examples of cards from Cards Against Humanity? Let's see what comes up. Just some examples here to show, like kid tested, mother approved. So like, here's an example of a card that was of a card combination that was played. I mean, this is pretty terrible.
Kid tested, mother approved.
And the card played.
The description card was coat hanger abortions.
This is
yeah.
Right? This is the kind of thing that is just, it's just awful. Like, these are the kinds of stuff that happens. Here's another one. I'm sorry, professor, but I couldn't complete my homework because of, and somebody played this. I'm not even gonna
sucking the president's know what.
Yeah. So this is an example of how, oh my gosh, these cards are. Here's another play.
Could you imagine if Hillary would have won, if that card would have had to be removed?
Oh my God. Right.
I'm sorry, continue.
Here's another one. We never did find blank, but along the way, we sure learned a lot about blank. Grandpa's ashes and Auschwitz.
Oh my God. Oh.
Or how about this one? What brought the orgy to a grinding halt? Child Protective Services was played. That's why it's called Cards Against Humanity.
Yeah, it's not a very classy game.
It's not a classy game by any stretch of the imagination. So should it come as a surprise that, well, the company culture sort of mirrors what type of cards are created at the company?
Well, and especially when you're talking about a company that literally was established after the game was created or in its creation.
Yes.
The company name is Cards Against Humanity. What the heck do you expect?
Right. Can you imagine you have to get people into a room and come up with those cards.
Right.
And then you have to get people into a room and play test.
Yes.
So
I'm sorry. So you said that there were 10 guys that created this. Game.
I think it was 10.
Let's just
for sake of argument, let's just say
it's
10.
10. 10 guys created the game and then created a company because they're like, oh my God, you know what we're gonna do with this? We're gonna make so much money, and then we're gonna come up with Cards Against Humanity 2, and we're gonna come up with something else, and we're gonna do. So I can imagine what that's looking like. A bunch of guys from college and probably the same fraternity going, yeah, I know the type. Fine.
So it was 8 founders. 8 founders. My bad. 8 founders.
Okay, enough to sit around one table and discuss it.
Yeah.
Who is making the accusation at the company?
Well, various ex-employees. So the company grew quite a bit, and they actually, as they created new little expansions and whatnot, they brought in other people and to come up with cards and come up with these expansions. And so now you have more people that are involved. I don't know how many people are at the article doesn't say. I don't think the article says. I don't recall, but maybe there's 50 people at the company. So now you're talking about a company culture that, based on this game, and you saw some of those examples. Based on this game, they got to be talking about this stuff out loud. They got to be talking about the vile kind of crazy combinations that can occur, right? They're got to be play testing it. They got to be laughing and coming up with.
I would go so far as to say they probably have a sexual harassment disclaimer that you have to sign a waiver in working for the company because of the content of the things that you're actually discussing.
Well,
that everybody there is exempt from anything other than unwanted physical touch.
Right. Well, apparently the company doesn't even have an HR department. Why should
surprise.
they? Why should they? You talk about these cards, you can't have an HR department. There's no point in having an HR department. So
yeah, okay. All right.
I just have a hard time feeling any sympathy for somebody who goes and works for this company, and you realize that, well, it's kind of a shit-tastic place to work in.
Yeah.
No. Are you kidding me? Really?
No.
Who would have thought that would have happened?
Here's my shock face.
Right.
I absolutely believe that those claims are 100% founded. Yes, I do.
Oh, me too.
And I absolutely believe that if you walked into that place and found something different, good for you. But if you walked into that place and you knew what you were getting and you walked into it anyway, you don't have the right to piss and moan.
No.
You go, yeah, that's about what I figured it was going to be. Time to go look for a new job.
Yeah.
I mean, what the heck?
Yeah, it's just
I
don't understand. If you're going to go work at Cards of Humanity, you kind of now apparently there were some sexual harassment allegations against one of the co-founders like a year or two ago, and they actually reduced.
Here's my shock face again.
I mean, everybody's talking about sucking the president's what and all this kind of crazy. At that point, he could have just been joking about the cards they were coming up with, and some, you know, and
or not even joking, just dead serious about the cards because they're absolutely absurd and obnoxious, and they're all offensive.
Right. Everything.
The content of your work is offensive. That's like going to work in the. Back to your example, since you talked about it so greatly, going to work in the porn industry and then getting upset because people had sex with you.
Right.
Really?
I don't understand it. So apparently he was one of the founders, had sexual harassment charges brought against him, and they reduced his duties. The company said, okay, you know what, we'll reduce his duties, blah, blah, blah. And then out of this latest set of this latest accusation that the company culture is terrible, the same guy is, he's completely stepped away from the company. You know, I don't have a lot of sympathy for people who are going to willingly take a job at the company Cards Against Humanity, and then are surprised when people behave in vile ways at the company, because it's what they are. It's what built them.
Yeah. Sorry. My empathy meter just fell off. Sorry. My mom had a visual expression for how I feel right now. It looks like this. For those of you that can't see that, I'm running my index finger across my thumb. That is the world's smallest violin, playing just for you. That's such a sad song.
I mean, should people be harassed or whatever? No. But at this point, it becomes really difficult to even say, were you even harassed, or were you just offended based on the conversations that were taking place in the company? At that point, I have no idea, because the company is the company's.
Well, and you're working in a place like that. You know what? The boundary lines are, there's no way that they're not going to be blurred if they exist at all. I mean, I'm sorry. You're setting yourself up into a very, very precarious position.
Right.
Sorry. Not sorry.
You know, that's not trying to excuse if somebody was raped on, you know, in the offices.
Absolutely.
Right. Of course.
No.
But that's not what's happening here. That's not what this article is talking about. This article is just simply saying that, you know, sexual harassment occurs in the workplace. The work culture is just, you know, a bunch of prepubescent, I guess, adolescent type of acting and vulgar language. And to that I say, well, you had to know that you were getting involved in that.
Sure.
You had to. It's Cards Against Humanity, for crying out loud.
Yeah.
I'm sure they probably told you that you were getting involved, what you were getting involved in. So that's like joining the military and being shocked when you get called up to go to war.
Yeah. The military was such a violent place.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. There was workplace violence? Are you serious? You poor thing.
Yeah. Yeah. So there were apparently lewd jokes about politics, pop culture, sex, and so on in the culture. No, no sympathy.
No, sorry.
None whatsoever.
You're done. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Go work for Toys R Us.
None whatsoever. All right. Well, that does it for all the content that I had for tonight for DLC.
I think that's plenty. That was a good run. Good discussion.
Yeah. Thanks for
expand the gamut. Of course.
Yeah. It was a lot of fun.
Hopefully everybody out there has fun listening to it. If you don't, you can write us hate mail and tell us to stop. We'll read your hate mail on air.
Yes, absolutely. Send us hate mail. Send us hate mail to contact@fusionunderground.net. You can find all of our stuff off our website at